What we're going to start with first, mate, what do you want to kick off with? You want to start with what topic? Because I'll introduce the topic and then we'll just go from there.
A pleasant chat on being awake at this time and then into the law
Yeah.
and legislative remedy.
Yeah. Hang on.
Because we're all about remedy here, Gavin.
Hey guys, Gavin here from Sovereign Empowerment once again, and I'm joined by Damian. Okay. Hello, Damian.
Hello.
Damian's been very busy in the background. He's got lots of different things going on that we're going to talk about today. But the main sort of topic for the video is going to be legislative remedy. Okay. Now we're probably going to dovetail on different topics as we go, because you know what we're like when we talk, but that's the main topic. But anyway, Damian, been a couple of weeks since we've spoken. How are you doing? How's things going?
Very good, very good, very busy. Very busy doing a lot of work behind the scenes, helping a certain individual within the Council Watch organic movement. That's just wonderful. I'm really drilling down on both public law and private law with regards to holding our wayward public servants' feet to the fire. A lot of remedy there, but it's a process. So it's a process I'm enjoying and helping that specific individual in empowering herself. She's doing a wonderful job, and I'm pleased to be part of that. And I'm pleased to be part of this. How are you,
Really?
Gavin? I'd like to ask, first and foremost, because a lot of your viewers are very awake, but will have experienced a lot of issues throughout that I don't think we've addressed or discussed. Family members, dealing with family members that are, because now 4 years in from the covidius minimus, spurious claim, for want of a better word, because I've personally fired off hundreds of FOIAs regarding that topic, seen hundreds from all around the world, and not one government executive agency or healthcare provider has been able to provide any evidence of the existence of SARS-CoV-2. I won't get into that. But,
Yeah, we've got to be careful on this channel because we might get flagged for stuff. But yeah, no, you're right. We've never talked about that really, actually, have we? We've never really gone into that.
the point is the impact that has had on people, because we are now, it's never been clearer, at a time when you've got two frequencies operating in the same space at the same time.
Yeah.
You've got this high vibrational frequency, us, the awake, the more enlightened that have seen through the scams, risen above it. And those that are still firmly stuck in that matrix, in that lower base, Luciferian, dark tar-like energy of fear and anger and loathing and hatred and perpetual wars, forever wars. We're up here, but we're both operating in the same space, and never more seen than within families. For me, for example, because I want to ask about yourself. You did an excellent interview with a guy that was basically free on the water on his boat, and you were discussing how hard that situation had been with your wife. So I want to ask you about that. Whereas with me, it split my family straight down the middle. Now, this should resonate with your viewers because everyone has been affected by this. I mean, everyone. And for me, I haven't spoken. My oldest sister, who I love dearly, we've not spoken since the lockdowns. We've not spoken because she was the kind of arsehole that embraced the rules and regulations, and it gave her the power to be a bigger arsehole. And she would be the first. She's put on Facebook, we neighbours. So they've got more than 5 people. That didn't sit right with me. I was like, hang on. This is toxic. I'm coming away from social media. And obviously, we've now separated here. We're going our own ways. So it split my family down the middle. Me and my mum, wide awake, didn't have the gene editing material put into us, didn't wear the masks or stand around doing satanic rituals on 6 feet apart, stickers on the floor. And whereas my dad and my 2 sisters were hook, line and sinker. And like I say, I haven't spoken to one of my sisters in nearly 4 years now. Gavin, what is your experience, mate? How has it been with you and your missus?
But it was, obviously, yeah, I didn't expect to talk about it like that. So how's it been? It buried it, to be honest with you. And there's no rule books, is there? There's no way you can go on Amazon and buy the book to guide you through what you're going through right now, because we're all in this sort of uncharted territory. So For me, I just thought that I'm a father. I've got my 2 boys, okay? I was and I still am a family man, and prior to all this stuff going on, we had a pretty good relationship. It's only really since then that things started to go wrong, and I've said it before, we were not on the same page, and that has been very challenging. I would say really for the more than last year, for my own journey going forward, I've just got more comfortable with reality, shall we say? Because you're going through, you're processing all this new information, and I've come up with this word for me. You have these paradigm shattering moments where the reality that you'd built through your entirety of living is suddenly just bang, it's challenged. And for me, it's like those structures you put up are just shattered, like violently shattered in some cases.
Yeah.
And you're reeling from that situation because it's like, how are you supposed to deal with that? When that sort of structure's now just blown up and you've got no real structure anymore because you're now searching for all these answers and you don't know who to trust and everything's a lie and all these other things. It's a very chaotic like moment, especially emotionally. So what I've done with the missus at home is that I've just thought, you know what, my duty really is to be a father, the provider, the protector, all of these different things that and that's not being chauvinistic. That's just the way I view what a man's role is if they've got kids in a family, right? So for me, it was like, we're in a wartime situation. We know that these people want to kill us and they are actively doing that right now. That issue with regards to not being on the same page or maybe not even on the same frequency anymore, to me is less of an issue than everything else that's going on. And so what I thought in the end is I'll just park that. That's not something that I need to deal with right now because the other things are bigger. If this was a kinetic war, this is the way I look at it. If this was a kinetic war and there were tanks and all that stuff going on that we know about in World War II, whatever, I probably I wouldn't be looking at it like that. Oh, we're not on the same frequency and all that strong because you're in the war and that's the focal point, surviving and getting through that. And that's really how I've wired my mind to this moment in time is that we are in a war and I can't relax that situation. And so my purpose, my job, my responsibility is get my family through it. And then if you look at why we're talking, what we're doing with sovereign empowerment, I think I've mentioned this before, but this was the first time in my entire life that I did something from heart as opposed to head in the pursuit of something else, the career move, the new house, that whatever it is. And it's kept me sane. Like, it's given me purpose. And that's why I get out of bed in the day every day to do what we're doing. So I might have gone off on a tangent there, mate. But yeah,
No, no, it's brilliant.
I'm in a comfortable place to put a word to it. But I'm desperate for this shit show to end as well.
You've addressed a lot of points there and you've given a lot of clarity, I think, to the viewers. And I think you're leading by example. And this was a conversation that's unscripted that we hadn't had before because I needed you to speak from the heart, which you've done. And I think you put that brilliantly. And it is about addressing the fundamental problems. You've parked that rightly so. And your high frequency will pull her up into your frequency over time. Just being around the information in your auric field will pull her up. And I just think that that is such a shining example, Gavin. Honestly, I'm not normally
Thanks,
stuck.
mate.
I'm not normally stuck
Really?
with words, but you've spoken from the heart, and you've dealt with a situation where we are dealing with people that don't realize they're in a war. We're in a war. It's not a kinetic; it's a spiritual war. We see it. The veil's been pulled back for us. And I believe that there was a light placed in every family, in every workplace in this realm for a reason. And it was up to us. We have a responsibility, being enlightened, being awake at this time, to shine our light on darkness and to raise others by example, which we will do. But I truly believe that a light was placed in every family, in every workplace to give the other people an opportunity. They have free will. So this is part of the divine plan and part of free will. And it is hard because they can't see they're in a war. So we're having to defend ourselves, our children, our partners. I mean, could you imagine dating at this time, Gavin?
It's funny. I know you've done that recently, haven't you?
Well,
That came out of the blue, and I mean, I couldn't. I mean, it's what a minefield now because you've even got the scenario of are they boobity boo, and I would hate to be out doing that stuff right now because you might meet someone really cool, but they've had that, and that's a no go, isn't it? So what do you do?
it
How has you done it? Actually, it's interesting. Tell me your. I've not heard your story. Like, how has it happened with you?
law of attraction. So you put out the frequency into the universe, and so you're putting out the action, understanding that your thoughts create your reality. So I put out the right frequency. And guess what? She had done exactly the same. So 150 miles away, she had done the same. I then made it blatantly clear on a certain dating app. I wasn't prepared to date anybody that had the gene altering injection. I was very clear. Those were my terms and conditions. They're contractual.
Do you get any responses to that? Do you get anyone taking offence?
I got a few snotty ones from some nurses, yes. But I said, look, I make no bones. I apologize for the fact that you've been deceived, but you're not for me. If you are aware of the Great Awakening and you haven't had the gene altering, gene modifying injections, then you're for me. I was very clear. And those were my contractual terms. So again, everything is contracted terms and conditions. Those were my terms and conditions. She popped up, and funny enough, in the hometown that I'd left to come up north 6 years ago, which was another irony, but we made it work. We're both very much like-minded. Our frequencies match, and we've now been together since October last year.
Amazing, mate. Bloody
You know,
amazing.
she's very spiritual. She's very, very awake, and now she's also creating change, affecting change locally in her area. She does the accounts for the local constitutional club, and she's just put the chief officer there basically on notice that they can't issue PCNs in their private car park.
Nice. You got that
And
from you, right?
explained about the Bill of Rights. She's listened to our videos. Her and I discussed the law a lot. I know I don't browbeat her with it. She asks, and I tell her she's very engaging, as is the lady that I'm working with at the Council Watch. They want to learn, and it's part this whole sovereignty movement. What is sovereignty? Sovereignty is self-reliance. 2 words: self-reliance, and that's your health, your wealth, your education. That's your food supply, your water, and law.
But basically, it's pretty simple, isn't it? Really, when you think about
Yes.
it. You know what I love? Just to backtrack slightly there before we get into the legislative stuff. It's like the one amazing thing for me at this moment in time is the realization of consciousness and collective consciousness. I always used to think of buzzwords with no real meaning, but you can see it with regards to not even what we put out. There's so many other people putting out good stuff.
Yes.
And I look at it like the seeding of that information is going out there into that collective consciousness. And then other people share the same information. And slowly but surely, these seeds are being planted and they're now germinating. Some of them are grown into trees or whatever already, right? And that for me gives me the hope and the knowing that there is an inevitability to the end point of the tyranny that we're going through. Because so many people now are waking up to give it the word, right? That there's a portion of those people that do wake up that will be looking for answers, that do want to apply themselves to the law and all the other different things. So those numbers grow. And all we need is time before the tipping point is met. And I think we're close to that anyway. And that's why I love what we're doing, because for me, it was what the hell are you supposed to do in a World War III situation that is not the traditional type of kinetic war? To do something, to give back, to help, to do something for this moment in time. For what did I do when that tyranny was being rolled out? Do you know what I mean? That's why I think that's important. And you're doing what everyone's doing something in their own way. And I think that we aren't at the point where we've got our pitchforks marching down Downing Street to pull them out of the building that way. The only other way I can see to do this is you either forget about it all and you just go live your life and do what you want to do. Fair enough. Or you do what we're doing, you do something about it. That for me is that's the armor of God. That's how you protect your loved ones and yourself.
I totally agree. And I would take that a step further. The way we win this is take back local government, take control of our communities again, because the likes of Tony Blair have recognized the power of local government by putting in There are woke NGOs, the Common Purpose, the United Nations have pushed all their agendas through local government, through funding. So that's where the power is. Everybody needs to affect change in their local government. They complained about central government. Look, until everyone turns their back on central government and stops paying taxes to criminals in suits, perpetuating forever wars and killing innocent men, women, and children in a far-flung country, until that happens, then a few of us in each area have to take control of our local communities through our caveat of service to others, because the people within these local government institutions are service to self. So we affect change by bringing them to heel, and we do that through their legislation. It's what binds them, the council, and their individual and official capacities. Bring them to heel, then get us out, and then we get in there and we serve others, and we cut off the funding to central government at the fucking knees. Cut it off. It's a cancer. That's how you do it. But it means people need to step up. People need to start running for their local councils. They need to start loving thy neighbour. Start knocking on the old lady's door. Can I go and get you shopping? Are you all right, love? Are you alone?
Community,
Want to
isn't
come
it?
over and have a cup of tea?
It's all about community, the very thing that they eroded to do what
They
they've done.
destroyed community.
And that's all we've got to do. It's that simple. It's getting back to that community way of living. Just on that note, because I know you've done this, I just want to let the viewers know about this. You've interviewed an amazing woman who has a YouTube channel who is doing exactly what you've just said. And she's getting traction with it, guys. And we want to help give her a bit more of an audience. So do you want to just quickly explain that? Because we are going to put that interview up with her, but it'd be good to, I think, just to introduce what she's doing.
It's the brilliant Rachel at Colchester Council Watch. And what she's done over the last 2 years, her, Karina, and the team behind them, they've took the time to go to every council meeting and edit 4 hours of complete boredom, mind-numbing boredom, condensed into a 15-minute video, and hold these people to account. These people don't like the light shone on them, and they've learned how the processes and procedures at these meetings should go. You can't just turn up and start shouting, obeying mob. They've followed the processes and procedures, which mean the council can't turf them out. They've got no ammunition to go against them. And now they're nervous because every time that they're not serving the will of the people, this is being advertised on this group that's grown organically, being shared amongst, I would say, hundreds of thousands, up to millions now within this nation. And it's spawned an organic movement. So you've got Gloucester Council Watch, you've got Thetford Council, you've got them all around this country. They're springing up and they're using the resources on that excellent site, the Colchester Council Watch site, that's got all the resources to tackle the climate change scam, the 5G infrastructure, and all the other things that we never want. We've never wanted, we've never asked for, and are causing us harm. At the end of the day, these United Nations funded agendas, it's all being pushed through local government, smart city, and everything else. So this is why it's important we take back control. Look what they've done to the local pubs. The pubs were always the hub of the community. You'd have the barrister with the plasterer, right? The accountant stood, and I believe you, I've been in those pubs, and it's wonderful because everyone leaves their titles and their perceived social status at the door. You're all there having a beer and you're all discussing world events. The controllers couldn't have that anymore. That's why they've destroyed the local pubs. That's why you go into every high street now and it's just boarded up shops or charity shops. They've destroyed all of that. They want you stuck at home, feeding the beast that is Amazon. We've got to take control. We've got to get
exactly
out.
it.
That's exactly it. You've seen that erosion, multi-generational. It's up to us now. It's nearly gone. It's up to us to turn it round. And we're awake this time for a reason.
And if that resonates, guys, I mean, look, we're not getting on a soapbox here, but I do feel very passionate about what Damian's doing there and Rachel's doing in there. It makes rational sense, doesn't it? Why do we want to be railing at government? They're all corrupt and it's gone, but we have the power to do something at a local level. It's that simple. There's a guy called John Hughes. I've got an interview with him. I haven't spoken to him for a while, but he's already done this. They have already replaced councillors and are continuing to do so, and they're rolling it out. Rachel's doing it. There's no reason why, and I'm hoping somebody watching this right now feels that spark to do something similar. Because if we were doing this all across the nation in exactly the same way, we would end it. It's that simple. None of this sort of litigating on the council tax or this and planning on all the other things that we're doing. Okay, they have some effect, but they're not solving the problem. The solving of the problem is removing the top tier in these councils and bringing the power back to the people so the councils operate as they were meant to operate, for the people, not for the corporate entities and the higher ups, as we know is going on. So with that said, Damien, do you want to get into some legislative remedy?
Yes. I would just add to that, this is an opportunity to self-govern and for self-reliance. You've got a choice. We always have a choice. Here's the choice. You fall away with the old system and paradigm, or you grow within yourself and affect change locally, right? Now you've got three choices. At this time, you either thrive, survive, or die. I'm going to thrive.
Most people are in the latter two. Most people are just trying to survive. But even the people in that category at the moment, fucking dying, right? It's real, this stuff, guys. So what I'm hoping is collective consciousness, there's some sparks generated here and people start standing up. As soon as I've got more time, I'm going to start doing this locally, but we're making a few changes behind the scenes here so that I can do more of this stuff, more of the content sharing, more of the activist type of projects as opposed to one-on-one and educating and advising on legal remedies, as it were. So it's all coming, guys. But that said, should we get into the legislative remedies?
Yes. Books.
Always books. You must have a bloody great library right now.
Oh, it's massive. So I'll find my way through them. But the beauty is, with the reading, it sends your IQ into the stratosphere. It really does. I've always been an average IQ, but since I've been reading the amount I have, it's honestly, it's really sharpened your mind.
It expands consciousness again, doesn't it? You have
It does.
a far broader understanding of things.
Now, our friends at the Legal Beagles, Brandon and Gary, they advocate the Webster's Dictionary 1823. Now, to try and get that, you can get a PDF. They've got a PDF on their site, the Legal Beagle website. Check them out on YouTube. We've got an interview with Brandon that we've done. That'll be up by the time this one's aired.
Hopefully.
Excellent. And we're going to do a regular slot with Brandon, either once weekly, once fortnightly, going through first and foremost the simpler stuff to the newbies, and then going into the very, very complex, which Brandon can articulate and break down very well. So he's perfect for that. And he's more than happy to do a host a regular slot on here. So we are absolutely blessed coming together of some fantastic people. Well, I managed to get my hands. This came this morning, so I was very excited. I got a Webster's Academic Dictionary, right? This was made in 1905, and it's got the lady who originally owned this in 1907, and the smell of this beautiful book.
It looks amazing, actually. I know it's a bit geeky, but I get excited by old books.
1905.
Amazing, isn't it?
Just branching through it, you get the real the etymology of the words, and because a lot of the words they took out now of the modern day dictionaries. This is what you need to do. I think I got this for $5 on eBay. Right. Again, if you're going to do this and take this seriously, civil litigation, private litigation, this is how you enforce your private rights. Civil litigation, yes, enforce your private rights. In this series, the CLP series, this is what the lawyers and solicitors use. This is the family practice guide. You've got legal foundations. These aren't difficult to read. Yes, you guys can do it. You've got a very clever bunch anyway, much more intelligent than me. That's for viewers, Gavin. And criminal litigation. Now, I didn't pay more than $5 for any of these books. And the solicitors, the lawyers, they put their own notes in these. These are all secondhand from eBay. You've got no excuse not to have these in your library. 5-6 quid each. You haven't got to get the newest one, because nothing really changed within the last couple of years. And if it does, you can go online and just see. But it's really, honestly, you don't need to. Don't get something from 10 years ago. Just get something in the last 2, 3, 4 years. Right. Let's have a look. First things, legal notice under the provisions enacted within the Equality Act 2010. Now, the reason I've come to this, because this is something I used going through London Stansted Airport, and I educated the security staff there. Right. Anybody that does any research understands that we are bombarded with electromagnetic frequencies and electromagnetic radiation, and it's really not good for us. With this 5G technology, the smart meters, even Wi-Fi, etc., we're being bombarded either with millimeter waves, ionizing, non-ionizing radiation, 2.4 gigahertz crosses the brain-blood barrier, or we're having the water within our cells microwaved or cooked. These things aren't good. And I wanted, because I realized that I used to get quite sick going on holiday. And I have realized that I am fairly sensitive to the electromagnetic frequency. Most people are. It's a fact, but they don't realize what it is. Okay. And it does manifest itself in the form of a cold or flu symptoms, yeah, or headaches, tinnitus, all sorts of things. Now, I realized it's the fucking airport scanners that you have to go through. You're being absolutely bombarded. So by the time you get to your destination, you've been completely radiated. You've been completely radiated. And you get there and people wonder why they're sick.
I'd never considered this until you pointed this out, by the way. It's obvious when you say it, but I'd never thought about it. And so it's like, of course.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely bombarded with it. So I thought, right, I'm going to test this. And this is when we went to Morocco, just about a month ago now. Said, right, we're not doing this. So I wrote legal notice to give the security staff. They were brilliant. And I ended up having to give them my copy because they were fascinated when they took us into a private room for a pat down. So I'll just read this notice because it's very important. It'll also give you the information you need to whom it may concern. So this is a legal notice under the provisions enacted within the Equality Act 2010. And by the way, we didn't get sick when we went to Morocco because we didn't go through the bloody scanners. I give notice to all airport staff, management, security, and agencies that both myself and my 2 sons suffer from a hidden disability. Say it again, a hidden disability known as ES, electrosensitivity. This is recognized, by the way, and EHS, electromagnetic hypersensitivity. We are also very sensitive to ionizing and non-ionizing radiation equipment. ES and EHS leads to environmental functional disability caused by the main 2 in here are airport scanners, smart meters. So think about this, because a lot of people are scared about, oh no, they're saying we're going to have a smart meter. No, you don't. All you have to do is say that you suffer from ES or EHS. And I'll show you it's covered in the provisions within the Equality Act, and I'll show you where. So I've explained that there's ES and EHS. It's a hidden disability, and this is caused by airport scanners and smart meters. Common symptoms of ES, electrosensitivity: headaches, skin, eye problems, insomnia, fatigue, anxiety, memory loss, confusion, sharp or burning pains, especially in the head, muscles, peripheral nerves, heart palpitations, irritability, cancers, nausea, nosebleeds, imbalance, vertigo, tinnitus, to name a few. Okay. Other names for ES or EHS was radio wave sickness. That was in 1932. Microwave sickness, 1964. EL allergy, 2000. Idiopathic environmental intolerance, EMF, 2005. EMF intolerance syndrome, 2009. As you see, I do a lot of research. I get supporting material facts. Backing what I say, these guys couldn't dispute or refute my claims because all of this information has come from proper science, real science, government recognized science. Okay. And they're the border agency. They've got to listen to what the government's telling. Right. The estimated percentage of people in the UK severely disabled by RFR and EMFs is 1.2%. That's over twice the number of registered blind and partially sighted. See, they've recognised as disabled, aren't they? So those with ES and EHS, you've got to prove this, by the way. The fact that you're saying it is enough. You're declaring it. Declaration, you're declaring it. Yes. Here, I've expressed it. I've written it. I've expressed it, mindful of the terms. So over twice the number of registered blind and partially sighted, which are 0.5%, and closer to those with autism, 1.04%, dementia, 1.3%, and wheelchair users, 1.87%. So if you're claiming to have ES or EHS, it is a recognized disability, and it's higher than a lot of the other seen disabilities. So, however, as a hidden disability, ES, EHS is less well known than any other disabilities. Now, this is the meat, the remedy. The airport's security personnel have a legal duty under Section 149 of the Equality Act 2010, especially with regard to subsection 2 and 4. There's your armament, there's your defense, not to discriminate, but to respect and accommodate our right to refuse security body scanners, harmful to us, disability brackets, in favor of an enhanced hand search in private. I thank you for your help, professional courtesy, and patience in this matter. We got ushered straight to the front of the queue. Boom. Circumnavigated all of their radiation-inducing equipment to a nice, lovely little private booth. Were treated with the utmost courtesy and respect. These two wonderful guys were discussing this notice the whole time and asked if they could have it. And I said, it's important you have it, because they were completely unaware of this. And I said, it's important you have this and look into this and educate your colleagues, because you are liable under Section 149, subsection 2 and 4. A claim can be made against you if you don't respect this.
This is so powerful and simple. Can I ask a quick question, actually? Just occurred to me. Because you've all been at the airports, loads of queues, all these people going through these things. When you basically skip the queue, was it quicker also to do it that way? The search that you went through, did you get through all of that far quicker than the people queuing up to go through the scanners?
Yes, and it was unstressful.
So there's another reason to do it, guys. It helps you jump the queues.
Completely unstressful and actually enlightening. This is what we're here to do. We're here to educate people. There's no point having this knowledge and just so unswelling your thumbs. You've got to educate, help people, make the difference. I've now helped these two individuals who are now going to take this notice, put it up to management. That will then be circulated amongst the staff so that they're aware of their liabilities. I don't want these guys getting sued. They're just everyday Joes, probably earning 12 quid an hour, going into work on a 10-hour shift. They're doing a job. Let's help them do their job and respect us.
I think that's the way you just put that is perfect as well, because this is exactly what I mean by seeding consciousness. You don't have to fight everyone and attack everybody just for doing their jobs. This is even council workers. Some of these people don't even know any different. So the energy that you express in the words on your paperwork, I think, is everything in terms of getting the message across, because the energy comes across too. So if you're doing it in an educational format, I think you're doing a service to humanity, because not only are you doing things for yourself to protect yourself and your family, but you're seeding consciousness. Now, like you say, they've got that document. They're talking about that document. That's moving around now. That's out there now. This is out there now with you guys. You might well be doing this as well. Do you see how little thing that Damian's done? That seed planted the seed. And now this thing's going to grow. Who knows where that goes? But hopefully we're in a situation where no one's going through bloody airport scanners anymore. This is how powerful it gets me excited. It's powerful, this stuff.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And like I say, the proof is in the pudding. We didn't get sick. We had a lovely week in the sun, very able body, and had a great time. But that has exactly the same application in knocking back the smart meters.
Yep.
You can just use the fact that you have ES, EHS, you can educate those people on the phone or in writing with regards to the smart meters and tell them that they have a legal duty under Section 149 of the Equality Act 2010, subsection 2 and 4, to respect your disability and not discriminate. Otherwise,
Exactly.
you have legal recourse.
Just on that note, you just tipped me off from something there. Just on the smart meter thing, those of you dealing with utilities, you might be also dealing with the threat of a prepayment meter coming in. The letters that you normally get say we're going to fit a prepayment meter, and they have the threat of a warrant, but they do not now confirm the legislation they're going to obtain the warrant under. So just a little tip: prepayment meters require a contract or an agreement, your consent under the prepayment meter regulations. I don't put that in the letter, so to stop that happening, you just cite the regulations to confirm you haven't consented. The warrant itself, majorly unlawful action when they make the application. It's done under the Rights of Entry Act. It can only be for health and safety emergencies. They're meant to follow due process, which means the risk assessment has happened at your house. They've told you there's an emergency. You in turn have refused to give them access to it, giving them no choice but to get the warrant. Now, in a warrant's application, you have the right to object to its application, which means you can have your day in court. They don't do any of this stuff to get those warrants for obvious reasons. So all you need to do is go through the Rights of Entry Act, the prepayment meter regulation, understand it in the same way Damien does, and then just come back to them and say, thank you for your letter. This is what you need to do. And when you explain the procedure they're meant to follow for the warrant, knowing that they can't follow that procedure legitimately, they can't get the warrant. You've just shut down that threat. That's one of the biggest threats of the utility companies. So sorry to jump in there, but I thought that's quite a good point to bring that in.
Brilliant, because that, I didn't know about that. So that's now going to give me some reading. This is the beautiful exchange of information, a beautiful exchange of energy. And you've just now segued me into then trespass.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
I did a notice for somebody, and you've got both private remedy and statutory remedy in this notice. And it was fascinating reading up on this specific level, well, finding the specific legislation involved with this. So they've asked me to look at a notice that some people have put together, and it was an utter word salad, where people derive these terms without ill will, vexation, frivolity, this. And I just think, you're not a politician. You don't need any of this. I actually cut down the original notice. I cut 2/3 out of it. I said, this is a total word salad. It's bollocks. I said, they'll get bored reading that on your. So let's put in the facts you can present in front of a judge. That somebody you can put the constable that may attend on notice. And so in here, I've got the tort, your ability to enforce this notice in tort, under tort law, and also under statutory law. Okay? So there's the two things. So notice is hereby given, because this leads into exactly what you're saying, that all implied and common law rights of access to this private property are removed immediately from the following: any employees, principals, or agents of the Crown Corporation, any persons acting on behalf of any political entity, corporate courts, third-party agents, or acting on behalf of any sheriff, bank, financial, receiver, or debt collection agency. Any man or woman here without prior permissions. Take further notice that this land at this geographical location, brackets England, is a common law jurisdiction. Now I'm going to stop there for a minute. People got to understand that word, jurisdiction. What does it mean? It's a law word. So people keep saying jurisdiction, law word. Think about what that means. Jurisdiction, law word. Think about it, click. And any violation of this notice will be classed as trespass, and you will be sued in a civil court of law for this tort. What is a civil court of law? It's a private court of law. Civil rights, private rights. Trespass is a civil rights violation. So you will be sued in a civil court of law for this tort, the tort of trespass to land. So I've just put, and you will be sued in a civil court of law for this tort. But there are 3 trespass torts. You would be going for trespass to land. I've then put without prejudice. There is no lawful excuse to ignore this private property notice, and I will remind you that ignorance of the law is no defence. If you refuse to leave when asked, then you will be committing the offence of aggravated trespass and liable to summary conviction under Section 68 of the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act 1994. You have been forewarned. What do you think?
Yeah. That's what you need, isn't it? I have no comments. I'll be interested to see what you folks listening to that have to say about it. But it is very simple, this stuff. Once you get into the legislation and the statute, you just understand how it's all working and what they've done to subvert our rights and bring in statute to do the things that they do. Once you get your head around it, you just unpick it and you just pull the building blocks apart, don't you?
You've got 2 remedies there. You've got a public law remedy, i.e. statutory, and you've got a private. You've got a private law remedy. So private being the tort, under tort law, trespass to land, and then you've got aggravated trespass when asked to leave, and then they're liable to summary conviction under Section 68 of the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act 1994. So you've got 2 avenues. It's got a lot of bite because they recognise more the statutory that you've got private interfacing with the public. So you're going to have some public entity coming to private land. So you've got either a private law or a tort law remedy against them where you sue them personally and individually in a civil court of law, or you can go the statutory route. Yeah. Public law, statutory law route under Section 68. So they can be indicted, liable to summary conviction, up to 3 months imprisonment or a fine, or both. So there's a lot of remedy there. So don't be frightened of their legislation. Use it against them.
And you can use what Damien's just suggested there in council tax enforcement situations, given we've got the Leighton judgment now. Schedule 12 is what gives them the authority to come onto your private property because they say they've got this statutory right. But the thing about statutory rights is they're not absolute. And so that ruling in simple terms, if you request that they bring proof of authority prior to their visits, and then you let them know if they don't bring that authority, you express the facts of trespass, and you can use the statutory part of what Damien just said there, then you can sue them. You could do the trespass, or you could use the Leighton case for that. So it's a very powerful case, especially when you dovetail it into, and you draw a very firm line in the sand that they can't then really cross unless they're really stupid. But so far, anyone that we've helped advise to do this, they've never crossed the line after being noticed.
You can hit them with both. And the problem is, like I say, somebody just told me to look at the notice. I said, lose 2/3 of this. I said, it's a word salad and it's unenforceable. They used the deemed contract term first and foremost, and they were trying to put contractual obligations onto the third party that were unenforceable. This is enforceable, and you can actually hit them with both. You can do one or t'other, or you can hit them with both. But this is enforceable. This notice is enforceable. The word salad one, with these spurious contractual obligations that would never hold water in any court. But you've got, if you look through
those contractual obligations, sorry to interrupt you, that's where you've fully seen these notices where they put fee schedules in and all that sort of stuff. Get rid of all of it. Simplify it.
Got here. Okay. That's the act, right? Section 68, offence of aggravated trespass. A person commits the offence of aggravated trespass if he trespasses on land and in relation to any lawful activity which persons are engaging in or are about to engage in on that adjoining land, does there anything which is intended by him to have the effect. Now think about that, section 1, right? So this is giving you the terms within this act. All right. Now, normally public authorities or especially police would use this on us, but you can use it the other way around when you actually read it. So Think about that. Just say you're gardening. Just say you're gardening on your private land. That's a lawful activity, isn't it? So you've got to interpret. So a person commits the offence of aggravated trespass if he trespasses on land and in relation to any lawful activity which persons are engaging in or about to engage in on that land, does anything which is intended by him to have A, the effect of intimidating those persons, or any of them so to deter them from engaging in that activity. Imagine you're gardening and then somebody's come there, trespassed on your land, they haven't got prior permissions, and they're intimidating you while you're carrying out your lawful activities. What is that? I'm gardening. That's a lawful activity, Gavin.
Yep.
It's so simple. All the remedies in here, or of obstructing that activity. Now you're stopping me gardening, or if that's disrupting that activity. Like I say, you're disrupting my gardening. Hey. Then you come to 3, a person guilty of an offence under this section is liable on summary conviction to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 months, or a fine not exceeding level 4 on the standard scale, or both. You'd look at the standard scale, it will tell you. This stuff isn't hard.
It just needs reading. It just needs to just repetition of reading, and pick your box and focus on the thing you're going to do first. Don't do it all, because that's the mistake a lot of us make. Just focus on the one thing and just get your head around the legislation, everything that pertains to it. One bit of advice I'd give, actually, we've never spoken about this, but I always reverse engineer it. If you're going to take on utilities as an example, right? Look first at what they can do to you to enforce. Get your head around that bit first, because that's going to be the threat. Because while you're learning and doing stuff, they're going to proceed with their enforcement because they understand that at a certain point in that, you're likely going to capitulate. So if you understand that bit first and then know how to lock that down or keep them at arm's length while you study and gen yourself up, there's a point when then you can really go on the attack. So the first part of your learning and doing is just learning what they're going to do and how they're going to do it and what you need to do just to keep them at arm's length. So what I suggested earlier on with regards to the threat of a prepayment meter and a warrant, that isn't you suing anyone or going after them. That's just shutting down one avenue of enforcement. And so if you think about that's a far easier thing to do than the study and the things that Damian can do right now, right? This is the starting point. But if you shut down that option of enforcement, nothing's actually happening. And that's the key point. So keep it simple. Don't get overwhelmed, because everyone gets overwhelmed. And I understand why, because I don't know about you, but when I first read legislation, it's like reading Chinese. I don't bloody hell what's bloody saying to me, right? But you got to keep going at it. So keep it simple. Look to shut down enforcement and keep them at arm's length. And just don't overcomplicate what you're doing. And don't be scared to try.
Don't be frightened of it, because it says what it means most of the time. Okay? It's that I've really broke it down to its simplest form. That's all you do. Print it off, read through it, read it again, and just highlight what it's saying. What does it mean?
All right. So we've covered airport scanners and how they can apply to smart meters. We've gone into the warrant of entry and prepayment meters. Now trespass.
So what is trespass to land? Trespass to land involves the unjustifiable interference with land, i.e. no permissions, which is in the immediate possession of another. Possession doesn't necessarily mean ownership, just the right to eject or exclude others from the land. It is not necessary to prove any physical damage or financial loss was caused in order to bring a claim against someone. And one single incident of trespass is enough. Now, this is important because everyone's being trespassed on an awful lot, especially with these utility companies, especially love trespassing. Who can make a claim? Anyone with exclusive possession of the land, right? Someone who has physical control of it. So it's not just landowners, tenants too. Tenants, a renter, a tenant can bring trespass claims. And that's important because not everybody owns their property. So landowners or property owners and tenants. Lodgers can't, because they're only licensees. They have permission to be there, but non-exclusive possession. All right, so if you're renting as a tenant, your tenancy agreement is your proof. You have possession. You have right. Okay? Right. The trespasser, how? The trespasser would first need to be identified. That's important. But these people love giving their name badges and giving it the large. They think that's a shield of invincibility. So they'll happily give you their details and also get a picture of their number plate, their registration, just in case they've told a porcupine. So they've got to be identified, because the claim forms are supposed to state the full name of each party involved. Okay. The claimant must know the name of the trespasser. To enforce a judgment for money, the trespassers will need to be identified. Write down a timeline of main events, including any footage or photos proven. Most of us have got cameras or Ring doorbells these days, or something to that effect. So you've got that as more material evidence. A claim form would need to be served on the defendants. Okay. And if you ideally get the address, this is why you might need to get their company details or get the registration plate. And obviously then put that into the court. Possible outcomes: money versus injunction. If they're going to keep harassing you, you're going to go for an injunction. And that would be the order by the court prohibiting further trespass. Damages compensation. Well, types of compensation. This is important. You're going to go, you've got contemptuous, nominal, aggravated, or exemplary. You want to go for aggravated, which is compensation for injuries to feelings, distress, humiliation, insulting behavior of the defendant. Now, does that sound like all the things these acting boneheads do to people? Yes?
Yep.
Right. Now, aggravated is, so just say the top is exemplary. Money awarded by the court as a punishment and deterrent to others. Less common to get that, but that would be nice. This is number 2 on that scale, aggravated. Nominal is the claimant's rights have been infringed, but no damage done. The claimant was reasonable in bringing the claim to court. So you don't want to get nominal. You want to really push the aggravated. Injury to feelings, distress, humiliation, insulting behavior. Now, if they've touched you, then you can add assault and battery to that. That's a different tort. That you need to look into the tort law side. That then becomes a civil action. Contemptuous is the lowest, as low as 1p. While the court recognises the claimant's rights have been infringed, they don't think the case should have been brought to court. So you want to go for aggravated. Damages are usually only awarded instead of an injunction when the damage caused the claimant is small, capable, or being estimated in money. So they'll end up paying the costs. You get an aggravated type of compensation. Now, hopefully that's made that a bit easier for people to understand. And you do have your property rights enshrined in the constitutional statutes, namely the Coronation Oath Act 1688 and the Act of Settlement. There's plenty more, but they are recognised and enshrined in the known laws of this land, whether they be written or unwritten, lex scripta, non scripta, and the functionality of the courts, as in some dicey implications, that everybody is subject to court rulings, whether it be the Prime Minister down to a constable, is under the same responsibility for every act done without legal justification as any other citizen. Don't be thrown into that term. Citizens can enforce their private rights. You've also got private law procedures, prerogative remedies, the cessatory to quash an official decision done by a public authority, prohibition to prevent action on an unlawful decision. This is something I'm looking at, either judicial review on the public law side or on the private law side. One of these prerogative remedies, one of these writs, prohibition. And I would look at the prohibition to prevent action on an unlawful decision. Or there is the mandamus to compel performance of a statutory duty. Okay? But certainly with a judicial review procedure, you've got a maximum period of 3 months of the act or decision under challenge. Interesting concern for all people is water fluoridation. Okay, so we need to see what legislation they're moving under to be doing what they're doing, what authorities and subsidiary of authorities and executives are doing this and how it's going through and what you can do about it. But again, this requires people understanding where we're at, the legislation that binds these authorities, and how to set it in action. This requires numbers. Kickbacks on planning applications, on holding councils to account, etc. It requires numbers. It requires people to take action, the chosen action. So what have they done? What are they actually putting into the water? Right. If we go to the two acts regarding water fluoridation, is the Water Industry Act 1991, which indemnifies them. And I'll go through the two sections there. And the Water Fluoridation Act 1985. A lot of reading, guys, but I found what we needed. Okay. So first and foremost, what are they putting into the water? When we go to section 87C of the Water Industry Act 1991, it says fluoridation arrangements, compliance. And it tells us here, it should be the duty of each water undertaker. Now, statutory water undertakers are these companies. So think Anglia Water, Scottish Water, all of these different water. Yeah, Thames Water. They're the water undertakers. It should be the duty of each water undertaker to comply with any arrangements entered into. Think about that. It's a contractual term. Comply with any arrangements entered into by it under section 87(1), subsection 1 above. The thing about this, these are contractual terms. Yeah. So
all contracts.
Therefore, the legislation I'm showing you, these are their terms and conditions. Everything is contract law. Yeah.
Don't listen to any of these legal pros that have an agenda to tell you that this isn't contract. It's all freaking contracts. It's not law. It's all bullshit. We know that now. Truth resonates, right? So, sorry, Damian, I just had to
no, you're right.
Get on my soapbox there.
Think about that. Fluoridation arrangements, compliance, 87C. This is Water Industry Act 1991. It shall be the duty of each water undertaker to comply with any arrangements entered into by it under it's contractual.
It's contract. It's obviously contract.
It's where pursuant to such arrangements, the fluoride content of any water is increased. The increase may be affected only by the addition of one or more of the following compounds of fluorine. And then I'll tell you what these are and what they do to you. So you've got hexafluorosilicic acid, which is fluorosilicic acid, if you break that down. And the other one is disodium hexafluorosilicic, which is sodium fluorosilicic. Okay. So the first one, the fluorosilicic acid solutions, right, used for water fluoridation, right, on contact can severely irritate and burn the skin and eyes, causing possible permanent eye damage. Breathing concentrated fluorosilicic acid solutions can severely irritate and burn the nose, throat, and lungs, causing nosebleeds, cough, wheezing, shortness of breath. Many of the symptoms described are due to the hydrogen fluoride present as an impurity. This is used for water fluoridation and also as a metal surface cleaner and for pH adjustment in industrial textile processing or laundries. It could also be used for the processing of hides for hardening masonry and ceramics and in the manufacture of other chemicals.
That's in it, really. I'm just listening to you saying that, right? And let's just rationalize this. They're putting that in the freaking water. And just with common sense, how the hell is that okay for humans in the water when you're hearing what it's actually used for? It's just mind-blowing.
It only exists as a liquid. So that's one of the components they use. The other one, sodium fluorosilicate, is a white granular powder. It is used as a fluoridation agent for drinking water and in enamels for china and porcelain. It is also used as an insecticide, rodenticide, and a veterinary treatment for lice. Right, this is really
safe
nice.
For humans.
Exposure to sodium fluoride can cause nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain, loss of appetite, twitching, tremors, convulsions, coma, and even death. Deposit of fluoride in the bones and teeth, a condition called fluorosis. They don't
Oh, I don't even have
Does,
the words.
does that blow your mind? Because I've known this for some time. I've been taking apart these acts and disseminating the information. Does that blow your mind?
It does when you like it's just common sense. I mean, look at all the things. Look at how dangerous that stuff is to other life forms and everything else. But then at the same time, they're rationalizing that despite all of that, it's okay for humans. People, we have a duty to not pay this stuff. We have a duty to say no now. This is ridiculous. You're literally paying, not you. I know there's a lot of people, the people that do, the people that are scared but lack the courage to still stand. You're paying into your very death. You're paying into the system that wants you dead, your family dead. What are you doing? Excuse my French.
No, I will infuriate you further because your tax-paid money are then used to indemnify these statutory water undertakers in Section 90 of the same Act. So I'll just take you through this quickly. Section 90 of the Water Industry Act 1991 indemnities in respect of fluoridation. So we, through the Secretary of State and in agreement with the Treasury, are indemnifying them, right? The Secretary of State, this is subsection 1, 90, subsection 1, the Secretary of State, with the consent of the Treasury, agreed to indemnify any water undertaker in respect of liabilities which it may incur in complying with arrangements entered into it by it pursuant to Section 87, which we've just been through. The Secretary of State may also, with the consent of the Treasury, agree to indemnify in supplying water to which fluoride has been added by a water undertaker by virtue of any such arrangement. So the taxpayers are actually indemnifying insurance against them, their liabilities being sued for any harm. So they're harming us with something we haven't asked for or pushed back on. And that's the problem. We haven't pushed back on. So it's almost a tacit agreement because we haven't pushed back on. But I'll show you how to do that. Not only are they harming us by putting these agents in, and by the way, this fallacy that fluoride's good for your teeth or tooth decay, right? When you drill down on that, the tests were done on 10 newborn babies without teeth. Let us sink in.
It's just nuts, mate. Not even that. The documents are there. You can go into all of the tests that the Nazis were doing in the Second World War using it. It's all out there. I mean, and I know we're talking to a lot of you guys who know this stuff anyway. Hopefully, this is reaching some people that maybe didn't know this stuff. And what Damien's showing you is that you only need to do a little bit of research and connecting of dots, and the legislation and the facts of what the ingredients are literally tell you what they're doing, and it's all being condoned right at the very top by the Secretary of State. It's all being allowed.
And our tax-paid money is being used to indemnify the very that are actually poisoning us. And because fluoride's a neurotoxin. So if you want to look to the older generation who've been drinking tap water forever and wonder why there's such a huge increase, especially nowadays in Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, etc., these neurological diseases, it's all there. It's a neurotoxin.
It's a lifetime of poisoning yourself, basically. And
yes,
there you go. That's where you end up.
And then us then paying to indemnify the very people poisoning us. So when you understand they're the two agents they use, you wouldn't put those in your tap water. You wouldn't put those in your mineral water at home. So what can we do? We've got to look at who's doing it. So I looked at the interpretation section of the same Act. And this is being granted by the health authority. So you've got to look at your district health authority, and they're pushing that through your local authority, which in the interpretation section, that Act is your council constituted under local government. So where do you push back? You push back at your local authority, the count, and that has to be with numbers. So you've got here, section 1, fluoridation. So this is the Water Fluoridation Act 1985. You've got 4 sections here. Section 1, fluoridation of water supplies at request of health authorities. So it's your district health authority. You can Google where this water fluoridation being put into the water supplies in this country. I found it within a minute on Google. Okay. So let's find out how this is being seeded through and how you push back. So it's your district health authority. Where a health authority, this is section 1, subsection 1, have applied in writing to a statutory water undertaker for the water supplied within an area specified in the application to be fluoridated. So this is important. The district health authority has to do an application, okay, where they've applied in writing. They have to have an application in writing to the statutory water undertaker, i.e., so your district health authority makes out an application in writing and pushes it to your Anglia waters, your Scottish water, your Thames water, wherever, within an area specified in the application to be fluoridated. That undertaker may, while the application remains in force, so it all hinges on the application remaining in force, increase the fluoride content of the water supplied by them. 2, for the purposes of subsection 1, an application fraudulent shall remain in force until the health of, this is your way out. For the purposes of subsection 1, so this is section 1 of the Water Fluoridation Act 1985. Yeah, you've got to hit your local authority to hit the district health authority. For the purposes of subsection 1 above, an application shall remain in force until the health authority, after giving reasonable notice to the statutory undertaker in writing, to withdraw it. So put a footnote there, public pressure, local authority, i.e. council. You've got to mention this so the local authority have the right to challenge the district health authority because the local council and the councillors represent you, right? You have to write to them. This act, the Water Fluoridation Act 1985, subsection 2, your public pressure, the council can stop the district health authority under section 1, subsection 2. Get them an application to remain in force until the health authority, after giving a reasonable notice to the statutory undertaker in writing, to withdraw it. They have to withdraw it under public pressure. And if you then go to section 4, publicity and consultation, subsection 1, this section applies where a health authority propose to make or withdraw an application. And it goes through all the terms. And subsection 7, where any meeting of a health authority consideration is given to the question whether the authority should make or withdraw an application. Section 1, subsection 2. Right, and also it explains in there that they can't kick you out of the meetings regarding this. So under the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, which would have allowed the authority to exclude the public from certain circumstances, shall not apply to any proceedings on this question.
Brilliant.
Yes? So they can't kick you out of the meetings. You've got all the power in the water fluoridation, just reading through it.
Just got to do this stuff properly, really, haven't you? Just stick to the rules, read the acts, do it properly, and you win. The way I look at that is they give you the remedy in their legislation. You've just got to unpack the legislation to understand the way forward to do it. But it's all there. It's all been given to us.
I've just shown you in 2 acts relating to the same thing, where this authority is derived from, how they're doing, what they're putting in, what the causes are, what the health problems are of those, and then your legal recourse. It's all in there in 2 acts, in 3 subsections.
There you go. And you could use, if you weren't going to do that,
three sections and their derived subsections. Sorry, I'm just going to put that in for those that will pull me up.
No worries. And just to cap that off, you could still use the same information in litigation, just like one-on-one going direct at them, because all the information's there and given to you, right? If you can prove you're being poisoned, which you can very easily do with what's going on there, there's a harm. There's different ways to do it, but what Damian's suggesting there, which I think is the right way, it's numbers. We need numbers standing. We need to be rattling cages and shouting, but doing it the right way, taking back our power. And that's how we shut this stuff down.
You're right. We've come full circle back to what we were discussing in the beginning. They're affecting change at a local level. So you get numbers on that, citing all the information. I've done the hard work for you guys here, all the information. given to you, right? And it's in those 2 acts, 3 sections, and their applicable subsections. Now, the other thing that we've also discussed now, if they are fluoridating your water in your area and they refuse with the numbers, you can put in a petition and say, look, we don't want this anymore. You put in a petition, do it the right way, appropriate channels, petition them, or just get a shitload of you just to write to them, email them, hammer them.
The other thing you could do, and perhaps we'll just say this, Damien, then wrap this one up because we've got another one coming, guys. That information, like, you could put that into some sort of leaflets and you could go locally and start drumming up attention. Like Damien was saying earlier on, it's like seeding consciousness, letting people that don't know this stuff see it factually and understand they're being poisoned. There's an opportunity here to wake more people up, beat the drums. Think, get outside your own box and start getting creative with how you do this stuff. We just need to make noise. The more noise we make, the more people wake up, the more people stand up, the sooner this shit show's over.
You can wake the sleepers up and say, look, it's in their own legislation. This is what it is. This is how they're doing it. This is what's going into the water. This is the 2 components. It's in this act. This is what it does to you. And you're also paying to indemnify those people harming you from liability. This is what they're doing.
And that's not conspiracy, is it? It's literally supported with their own legislation.
I'm providing material evidence, material facts.
There you go.
And the other thing, to just get this moving, get that rolling, and then your recourse, if they then refuse to do their jobs, the councillors, and refuse to stop this, is a prerogative remedy. So you'd put in an order for a prohibition, a prohibitive order that we explained earlier. You compel them to do what you're asking them to do because they have a statutory duty and obligation to you, the public.
This is it.
So you've got prohibition or you've got a mandamus, but hammer them first, because the council, if you get numbers, they'll do what they're required to do.
They will. And that's the thing. They've never had the numbers. They've never been challenged like this before in an organized fashion with the facts, with their laws against them based on what they're doing. And I think we'll wrap that one up there, guys. So, yeah, hopefully this has resonated with some of you. Hopefully there's been a spark of something ignited so that we can start getting the numbers to stand up and do these things. And I know there's so many wonderful people out there already doing it. If you are watching this, I'd love to interview you. Let's get some exposure there too. But that said, thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you. God bless.
Do you find the legal system overwhelming and wish you had the knowledge and skill sets to control judges, persuade attorneys, and win your case? Well, look no further. Sovereign Empowerment is proud to announce our partnership with Dr. Frederick Graves so that we can bring you the Jurisdictionary Law course, How to Win in Court, your ultimate resource for mastering the courtroom. Unlock powerful case-winning strategies as you learn to control judges like never before. This comprehensive course eliminates guesswork and empowers you to navigate the legal landscape with absolute confidence. With step-by-step instructions, flowcharts, and outlines, you'll have all the tools you need to persuade and control judges in any case or court. Learn from a seasoned attorney with over 40 years of winning experience, who has distilled his expertise into this comprehensive program. Access everything you need in one single package, including sample forms, video seminars, audio clips, and in-depth case-winning classes. Learn at your own pace, anytime, anywhere. Our 24/7 online access allows you to tailor your learning experience to fit your schedule. Access the course on your smartphone, tablet, or computer and become a legal master whenever and wherever you want. Benefit from a suite of powerful tools, including a free online legal research tool, a legal dictionary with common sense definitions, and an exclusive Q&A forum to connect with fellow students and obtain expert guidance. Good people have suffered too long at the hands of power because they just didn't know how to fight back. Now, in a matter of just a few days, you can acquire the tools and knowledge that it takes law students years to achieve. Can't afford a lawyer? No problem. With the Jurisdictionary Law course, you'll gain the skills to win your case without expensive legal representation. Alternatively, equip your own legal consult with the tools and tactics to fight effectively on your behalf. Level the playing field and secure your victory. No matter what court, civil or criminal, conquer any courtroom challenge with ease. This step-by-step guidance ensures a quick and straightforward learning experience, empowering you to navigate the legal system with bulletproof confidence. confidence. As a testament to your newfound legal expertise, you'll have the opportunity to complete a final exam and receive an honorary law degree upon successful completion of the course. Showcase your achievement and establish yourself as a force to be reckoned with in the legal arena. Dr. Graves believes everyone deserves access to legal knowledge. That's why we offer the Jurisdictionary Law course at an unbeatable price. For less than the cost of a 1-hour legal consultation, you'll gain unlimited access to this complete program for up to 2 full years. Take control of your legal battles without breaking the bank. How to Win in Court has become the most trusted law course worldwide since 1997. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to gain the upper hand in the courtroom. Enroll in the official Jurisdictionary Law course today and unleash your legal power. Click the link in the description below to become legally empowered today.